Okay, this is Ken Ugert with the West Virginia Department of Education. We're working with the Continuum, Andover Continuum system. Let's discuss how to make historical charts and graphs and such. Um, all the values that you see on the screen can be trended for a day, 2 days, years if you want. Years you gotta have a lot of hard drive space, so typically we just do the 1 or 2 day things. Um, in order to do this, you have to go to the Continuum Explorer mode. You will find the Continuum Explorer down in the bottom left. If it's not there, you'll have to go to the Start, left click, All Programs, and find the Continuum folder. Find the Explorer mode. Start the Explorer mode. And at the top, you'll find your network folder. You can see the folder with the network symbol under it. You'll open that. You'll open the school. This school only has one. This controller only has one school under it. And we will open that. And typically you will have the historical stuff under the controller that most of the information is under. I'm going to create one under room 144. So to do that, we go open up room 144. The historical stuff, Andover calls them groups. I'm not sure why they call them groups, but that's why they are. If you have a folder already, that means there is a trend already in there. If there's not a group already, you would come over in this area, do a right click, and go to New, and you would click Group. That would add that folder to that controller. But since this one already has one, I don't need to do that. So if you already have one, you can look at that one. But we're just going to create a different one to show you from nuts to bolts how this works. So anywhere in this white space, you'll do a right click on the mouse and add a new group. Name it something that's going to remind you what the values are going to be. We'll call this one test because I'm going to delete it. But you would normally name it, airflow or fan status or temperatures like that we've done here, and just say create. When you create it, it's going to ask you what the description is. You can put one here or not put one here. This is just to allow other people to know the intention of this group. You can put whatever you want there or leave it blank. Next thing it's asking is a default view. How do you want this thing to come up when you execute it? It'll come up with the member list. We'll go through that in a second. As historical values, which isn't like a tabulature values, like an Excel spreadsheet would be, or do you want it to come up as a graph with lines and such? That's what that's asking. And we'll go through each of those. The other thing that it's asking is the default time range. When you execute this, how much information, how far back do you want to look? The longer you want this to be, the more memory it's going to require, for one. Typically, we go for only 2 days, just 48 hours. So I'm going to put 2 days there. and I'm going to want mine to come up in a graphical format. Like we'll go through the others here in a minute too. So when you do that, you will say apply. So that puts it up here, up in, but allows you to execute it, but it's not completely set up yet. Now you need to go to the next tab over, which is the member list. These are the values that you want to trend. Initially it's empty, so you have to add some values. You would select the add button, and this is where you're going to have to learn to navigate in the Explorer mode. Typically I go to this little orange box, which is called the network view, and again you'll see the network folder. Left click that, and it'll take you to the net controller, and then double click on that. Then you go to the controller that you want to look at the names. If I click under room 144, here are the things that I can look at under room 144. If I want to know, you start picking the values that you want to trend. This is the discharge air temperature. I'll double click that, and it comes back here. If I want another value, I'll click add again. It takes me immediately back to that same point that I was. If I want to know what the room temperature is, let's find the room temperature. These are typically in inputs, numerics, then outputs. Outputs are on this side, numerics are in the middle. I want the room temperature, and push select. That ends that one. We'll add another one, set point adjustment, or set point. Let's select that. So those are three things that it's going to trend. You can see that it has that yellow thing on there. That means we haven't saved that yet. If we push apply, that will go away. Now, it'll tell you to do that anyway if you don't. So here we have a trend named test or group, and when we execute it, it's going to bring up these three values, the historical values for these. This is the member list. Remember we talked about over here, we had three different ways of looking at this: member list, historical, and graphics. The member list, if it comes up, it's going to allow you to see these three values, and you select which ones you do want to see. If you had a whole list of them, you don't have to look at all of them. For the graph, this is typically what we set them up for. We'll go through the member list and historical in a minute. We'll say, since I'm going to come up in the graphic form, it needs to know what my top level of temperature would be. So you want to pick what your maximum temperature that you will probably see here. Since I have discharge air temperature, it's going to be down to 50 and up to probably maybe over 100. We don't know. So I'm going to put 100 here, and we'll put, we can leave it at 0. Well, I'll show you what to do there. You can put degrees, units here if you want to. It's up to you. You don't have to put anything, but you do have to put something in the top and the bottom values. And you say apply. So now, if we go up here and double click on test, it's going to bring up the graphic of these three values. You can see down here it is loading data for discharge air, it's loading data for set point, And when that gets through, it's going to show you a graph. If it doesn't fit, well, because we just loaded this one, it's not going to do anything. Because we cleared the memory of everything. Should have done a different one. Okay. Let's go back. Let's move this test to, we'll be looking at the same thing only in room 140. Okay. So if you see a graphic, if you see something, a trend from one that you like to have in another one, all you have to do is just drag it from there to the name of the controller. So now if we execute the test here, it's going to load the data for the discharge air, the room temperature, and set point. When that gets through, it's going to come up with a line chart. If you only see two like you had there at first, do this fit time and it will expand that. So here you have the discharge air. Here are your values, what they represent. The black dots is the discharge air. Triangles is your room temperature. The set point is what you're trying to maintain. You can see that this is in military time. This is for, you can see that it's the day, it's represented in the day and the hour. So this is the August 16th at 8 o'clock. This is August 16th at 2 o'clock, 1400 military time. This is 8 o'clock, the 17th at 2 a.m., 17th at 8 a.m. So this was all a weekend for here. Then coming up on today, which was probably the first day for school for these guys, you can see that the unit came on, the discharge air temperature dropped, and we started meeting the room temperature. These are good diagnostic tools. If you have a whole mess of values on here, you can have 10 or 12 of these values on this screen. If you have a whole lot of lines that are confusing, you can eliminate some of these or just turn them off. Actually, if you come down here and right click and you say hide, that just hides that one line. It doesn't go away, it's not erased, but it can be brought back, but it just hides those. So if you want to hide several of these to make it more easy to read, that's a good way to do it. You can bring them back on by doing a right click, taking the check mark off, and it brings them back. So that's pretty easy. Okay? So now, let's go back. That's the graphic form. If we bring this up, close it. If we go back to this, we edit it, we can change how it looks. If I want to bring it up in the historical method, we can apply that. Now it's going to bring it up in a tabulature form. So it's still loading the data for the room temperatures, for set points, and set. So where are the values, huh? Here they are. So now, if you prefer to look at them in this manner, you can go down, scroll down. Some people prefer to look at in this way. You can export this to Excel if you so desire. Do some other things. If you want to bring it up into a graphic form like we just had, you just click this right here and it would do that. If you want to just go make it be a member list, you can go there. Okay. Now let's edit it to go to bring up in the member list. So a lot of the ones you get from your vendors are going to come like this. They come up. Let's go back. They come up as the member list. So what they're doing here, they typically have a whole lot of points that are going to be trended. So the more you have, the longer it's going to take to come up. They're giving you the opportunity at this point to select or deselect the ones that you do not want to see. Say I want to not look at the discharge air temperature or the set point. And I want to bring it up in a graphical format. I would deselect those and pick either the graphical format or the tablature format. And then you can say what time scale do you want, but it's going to come up as your default range, 2 days. You can see that, and you can say OK. And what that's going to do, it's only going to bring up the one you have selected. So there it is, that only 2. So come up here to this fit time, select that, and that will come up. So that's basically how you do the graphing or the historical values. So you do not have the option to turn on or off these values again. You only selected one, that's only one's going to come up. So if you want to change how it comes up, you would just come to that trend, edit it, select which default view you want to see. Do the graphing. If you want to do graphs, make sure you have the scales correct. If the temperatures go beyond this scale, you can come back and you can change these to 120, and maybe they don't go down as low as 50 degrees. And you would say you can change those at any point. Just apply and OK. Now when you execute that one, double click, it'll come up. See what it's doing. Okay, sometimes they come out here at the bottom, you got to find them. And you can see now that my scale is 50 is the bottom scale and 120 is my top scale. If you really wanted to limit it, you could go probably to 55 and 80 if you really want to see some definition of the trend. So that is how you select trends. The other thing you need to know, you can get outside values if you want to put more values on here. Say I want to know a point from another controller, not from room 140. Maybe the outside air temperature. You can add any point from the system. Again, go to the network view, to the folder network folder. And I know that on boiler A or B, I have outside air temperatures. Let's see which one this one is. This one. Okay. So this is not, this is controller boiler A, not room 144. But I can put that on there, and it's going to pull that information from boiler A. If we say apply, so this one, let's see, let's say OK, and we'll execute that one. Now it should come up with these 4 values. So any value on the system is, you can trend it. Again, go to fit time, and there you go. Your outside air is your new value, and that's how you do the trending part. This is Ken Ugert. If you have any questions on this, let me know, and we'll make a video for it. Okay? Thank you. I need to learn how to make a stop.